Welcome to Fun and Games Side Quests. Every episode is a different host sharing a video game they love and why they love it.
Hello there, everyone. My name is Christopher Leech. You can happily call me Chris. My pronouns are he, him. I am a lecturer of psychology at the University of Brighton here in the UK. Amongst my day job, I also do many things, including being a person with albinism, so I do a lot in relation to disability advocacy. In line with my PhD research, I also do lots of work with video games and mental health, which as you'll hear shortly is somewhat pertinent to this episode. I also do a lot of things working with various organizations related, but not strictly limited to the following: in TakeThis.org, Safe in Our World, Limit Break, and Manycat Studios. I also do things like write nerdy things about nerdy things in psychology. I'm sure there'll be a link attached wherever you found this episode if you are indeed interested. However, today I am here to talk to you about one of my absolute favorite games. The game of the year for 2025 has already been released. It came out just at the end of May, and it is quite simply a masterpiece. Now picture this: a blank canvas in which you can create whatever you like. The world is your oyster. However, your objective is not to do anything other than build an island and play with your train. Yes, that is the game, Islands and Trains. Now, for a little bit of context and background, this is a game that I cannot remember one iota about how I found out about it, when I first heard about it, but I do remember playing one of the earlier demos in 2022. Now, this was initially just a demo that I'd found and wanted to play on stream. I thought I would play it for a few minutes. Several hours passed. There was an update to the demo in 2023. I played that. That ended up on YouTube. Then there was another demo release in 2024. And finally now the game is released. So this is a game that I have been greatly anticipating with much adoration and excitement for many years now. What I think is really important to stress about this game is not that it very much aligns with other games in the genre of the style of chill, sandbox, do whatever you like game. It is the fact that I, as a very uncreative, unimaginative person, still found a deep level of joy in this game. Now, quite simply, you build an island. You get to put your little train tracks down on the island. You get to set your train off around the island. There are multiple ways you can do this. You can just do grass and put your little train tracks down. You can build villages. Since the game has now fully released, it has a wide number of tiles, including trees, rock formations, farmland, different train sort of bits, carriages, and the actual bit that goes at the front, the engine. The word that eluded me for a second there. I want to say like head of the train, but I'm thinking of animated trains with faces. Anyway, there's just so many different bits of tile that you can use and build a world that you want. You could make a artisan village, the farm of your dreams. I built a castle in one of the earlier demos and just drove the train around that. I also did like a set of miniature islands where people were sort of going on their commute, right? And it just brings an infinitesimal level of joy. There is something so Bob Ross-esque about just being able to build a happy little island with some inclines. Maybe there's some swing arounds, maybe there's a tunnel, maybe you go over the water, and just watching the train go. I remember the first time I played it, I wanted to build this really kind of fun, elaborate track that went through almost 4 different zones, right? And I wanted it to work perfectly going both ways round. And it was just beautiful. There was something just so tremendously fun about being able to do that. And the game is very intentionally built around capturing that feeling of building a train set that we might have done in our younger years, right? It builds on that nostalgia, and the combination of the wonderful soundtrack, the cute visuals, a really sort of user-friendly interface comes together beautifully. And one of the things I really want to stress about this is it is so easy to use. The UI is great. You really do feel like you are brushing a brush. You are brushing across a canvas, and it's that easy to create things or remove things. Oh, Betsy, the cow's in the wrong spot. Don't worry, just move on, Betsy. Easy times. The camera can zoom into a really, really minute level, so you can look at the train or look at Betsy or look at your little townhouse. There's also some really fun variants just with the tiles. I think once I was like placing a tree, and one of the variations just had an outhouse with it, and it just really made me laugh. It was something so whimsical and so cute that it just warmed my soul. And again, I'm not an imaginative person. I'm not someone that's usually very creative with this. These kind of things usually stress me out. However, this game just captured something that I felt was so unique to other games like it in the genre. And I think that's really special. This really fun, just do whatever the heck you like. Have fun. Get that train going wherever you want it to go. And the absolute way that you can do it. You can make the terrain vertical. You can go far, wide, and just really engage with it. Go take it through a tunnel. Go over the water, And it just creates this beautiful nostalgia that, you feel it just below the ribs. Now, I can put my little psychology hat on and say, well, nostalgia is good. It makes us feel nice, yearning for a previous time and all things like this. But the game just lands it in a way that feels perfect. It's not quite so much that it feels like you can become overwhelmed by the amount of choice that you have, but it is also not so limited that you don't feel that you have enough choice. Now, as I say, I played several iterations of the game as the demos over the years have gone by, and I've really enjoyed seeing it grow and now come out in its full form. I feel it is important to say there is not necessarily an abundance of, say, accessibility options. The game can be played pretty much entirely with one hand using just the mouse. There is also the facility to zoom the camera in to a really good level of detail, which is really helpful for me as someone who's visually impaired / legally blind. There are also the ability to use the controller and things like that. So there is some variability. However, this game may still be not for everyone, which is fine. Ultimately, games are about creating a world of which we can inhabit and do something wonderful in. Do something that we cannot do in our day-to-day lives typically. And the beautiful thing about this game is it does just that, but also allows us to do it in a world of our own invention. Maybe you've got yourself a happy little mountain. Maybe you put yourself a happy little tree there. Maybe you give the tree a friend. Because let's be honest, everyone needs a friend. And there's no kind of emphasis on map sharing or anything like this. It's just create your happy little train set. Let it go off. Go around the world. Go to a Parisian themed village. Go through the, farmlands of insert country that's known for farmland. I was going to say a place in the UK, but I realized it's quite regionally specific, so don't worry about that. And it just feels nice. And it's very, very satisfying to just watch a train go around. Since, the updates have gone through, there's now actually like a little lever that you kind of get the impression of pushing, and there's a little whistle for the train, and it's genuinely just so satisfying. And there's something about that just is a combination of soothing, but also wonderfully fun. And I think that is something that maybe is lost when we talk about games. We're getting a bit more peripheral. I'm going off topic. I should not be allowed to do this and just riff off about one of my favorite games. All that being said, Islands and Trains, definitely check it out. Currently available on Steam only, as far as I'm aware at the time of recording. It is very affordable. I'm not going to list the price because regionally specific pricing is a thing. But if you are in the mood to do something slightly fun, very chill, very creative, maybe you want to share it with your community, maybe you want to see who can have the most fun building yourself a happy little island with a happy little train, check out Islands and Trains. Now, I fully admit, I've played many of the train games. I am an enjoyer of games with trains. And this one just seems to have something special. As I say, the combination of visuals, audio, UI, all of these things combine perfectly, in my humble opinion. But as always, all that remains left for me to say is whether you choose to play this or not, happy gaming.
Are you tired of watching your beloved characters being tortured by careless authors? Are you sick of feeling like they could have swapped out all of the painful action and the plot would remain untouched? Subscribe to Books That Burn, the fortnightly book review podcast focusing on fictional depictions of trauma.
We assume that the characters' reactions are reasonable and focus on how badly or well they were served by their authors.
Join us for our minor character spotlights, main character discussions, and favorite non-traumatic things in the dark books we love.
Find us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, or wherever you get your podcasts.
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.